Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do all of that. Subscribe. Trying to get these numbers up. This weekend has been a wild one, all right? Big news in hip-hop has been Young Thug versus Gunna and all of these leaked jail calls and interrogation tapes. Now, we all know, right? Gunna was caught up in the YSL RICO trial, but signed a proffer agreement and took a plea where he acknowledged that YSL is indeed a gang. And, that was able to get him out and back into the free world. And he was labeled a snitch after that, a narrative that Thug himself was pushing, right? Well, after Thug's interrogation tapes dropped or were leaked, the public can hear him talking to police, giving them information, right? And now folks are saying that, hold on now, like Thug was saying Gunna was a snitch, but Thug is snitching too. Not just that, Thug's jail calls with 21 Savage, Mariah the Scientist, some other people, the manager of his, all types of calls have leaked and just been the topic of conversation now. Probably a topic for another video is like who is leaking these calls and why. But obviously whoever it is wants to make Thug look bad. Like, I don't think this is an effort to make Thug look good. Like the way these calls are coming out there. It feels like somebody has a vendetta, but regardless, the tapes are the tapes. Now, the whole thing looks crazy, right? And it looks crazy for Thug at the moment, and it's been looking crazy for Gunna for some time. But the music that Gunna's been dropping consistently has overcome a lot of the criticism. Either way, I'm not here, and I'm not qualified to label anybody a snitch. Not Thug, not Gunna. That's some street shit. And that is not my expertise. That is not something I'm super interested in diving into and parsing out. There are plenty of others, so you can go to them for that. But I can say, right, that this whole thing looks insane. Like the whole thing just looks crazy. So why am I here, right? What's the purpose of this video? In the leaked Thug calls, something interesting came up as it relates to the music business. Thug claimed on a leaked call that in January 2022 that he purchased $50,000 worth of streams that helped Gunna's DS Forever album hit the #1 spot on Billboard over Weeknd's Dawn FM album. Just take a listen.
Like, the #1 album you just had right now, I paid for you to have a #1 album. You didn't, you know what I'm saying, honestly earn a #1 album over the Weeknd, my boy. I paid for that shit. I never said that to him. I never told him that. Cause we just got the plug on that. Like, you never earned a #1 album. I spent $50 extra grand buying motherfucking streams, $50,000 buying streams for you to be Weeknd. Like, and Cash know the same plug, so Cash could have did the same thing. But Cash let it go. Cash just spat down, like, man, let the nigga on the win. I ain't standing shit. Snap down like a player.
So without Gunna knowing, Thug admits to buying $50,000 worth of streams. Gunna's final sales tally for week 1 of DS Forever was approximately 150,300 album equivalents. So that's sales plus streams in the way that the music industry makes up this mathematical equation. So 150, 300. Let's just round it off, 150,000. The Weeknd's Dawn FM tallied at 148,000, so it was very close. It was about 2,300 album equivalents, sales equivalents that separated them. So it was really, really close. Then in another call, while discussing the release of his own 2023 album, Business is Business, Thug is on the phone with someone from his team discussing getting a #1, right? They want to get to a #1 and having to overcome the success of Morgan Wallen, country star Morgan Wallen's album One Thing at a Time. At that point, it had spent several weeks at #1. One Thug had no idea who Morgan Wallen was. But, to his credit, he had a lot going on, especially at that time. A lot of people don't know who Morgan Wallen is either. I'm not shaming. But in the music industry, he's been a force. Like, if you watch the charts and you watch how things move, Morgan Wallen has been an absolute force. But to Thug's credit, he was going through some things at the time. But Thug clearly asked in this audio his man, do they still have the plug? and it's believed that he's talking about the plug to buy streams, the plug that they use to buy Gunna streams. So, Thug in the initial call said that he employed this tactic unbeknownst to Gunna on Gunna's album to get him to number one. And then he's saying, hey, he's inquiring about using the same tactic for himself. Unclear whether he did it or not, but he's inquiring about using the same tactic for himself. Take a listen.
I said nobody has ever put out 2 number 1 albums from jail. Obviously, hopefully you're out by your birthday. You know what I'm saying? But if you weren't, like, that would be historic.
Right.
And even if Uzi moves, we still have to deal with Morgan Wallen because he's doing 100,000 every week, no matter what.
Who?
Morgan Wallen, the country guy.
Yeah, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Why the fuck didn't we think to put him on the album? Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
You think we're gonna beat the boy?
Yo, my man, I'm not going to sleep until we beat him. So whatever happens.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Whatever happens. So
beat the boy,
like, okay.
Beat the boy, then tell the boy you can't beat me, join me.
That's iconic.
Get on this song, young boy. Everything
You know what I mean?
Man.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's try to beat that nigga. You still got that plug, right? That shit what we did with none of them, you still got that plug?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Tell you. All right, my boy.
Yeah. All right, I love you. Call me an hour.
So that week with that album, Thug ended up with about 89,000 album equivalents, and it landed him at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. And he did not beat Morgan Wallen, who landed at number 1. Now, talk of artists or labels or management teams buying streams is nothing new, right? Everybody reacted when J. Cole had the lyric, how many's faking they streams, getting they play from machines. Like it's been a topic. It's been something that hip hop fans have been, and music fans in general, but we're talking about hip hop specifically, have been fascinated with for some time. Those streams come from bots, computer programs. I'm just gonna describe a little bit of how this works. Those streams come from bots, which are computer programs designed to act like or mimic human behavior, right? But the speed and efficiency in which they operate can move the needle in a major way. Artists and artist teams and labels use bots to rack up likes and comments on social media or to boost streams on DSPs to make an artist seem more successful than they really are. One thing that I had talked about on YouTube and on this platform and on Spotify, I've said this before, but that streaming number is public. You could see how much something has streamed. You can see how many times somebody hit play before you even listen and determine for yourself. And what that does for a lot of people is like, oh, this got played 1 million times. This got played 10 million times. It must be good. It must be worth my time. A lot of people like this and encourage you to play, as opposed to, some people may see an artist that oh man, this has 5,000 streams. This can't be any good, and whether people absolutely deliberately make that choice, but they also subconsciously make that choice. So, the more streams, the more it encourages you to press play, right? So some content creators use bots for their content too. Some YouTubers use bots, a lot of them, for their content too. So that play, that number that you see right here on YouTube isn't always the number. Isn't reflective of real people actually watching the stuff. Resellers use bots to purchase, pairs of sneakers like Jordans, or to purchase concert tickets at retail price, right? You ever go to the sneakers app and you try to get, and you're like, damn, this shit came out 2 seconds ago. I couldn't get these sneakers. And they purchase them at retail price, concert tickets, sneakers, things of that nature. And then they jack up the price on the resale market and push them back to you, and they make a profit. There's been a lot to combat this with concert tickets and making it illegal. Not so much with sneakers, not so much with music yet. You know what I'm saying? Like there hasn't been the legislation like really pushed, but you assume it's coming. So as it relates to DSP, Spotify and the like, it's all the result of streaming farms, right? A spot with a bunch of different cell phones connected to Spotify, controlled through a server, and they're programmed to play your record over and over again. They're also programmed to save songs. They're programmed to place songs on playlists. It mimics fan behavior, and in a lot of instances, then it tells the Spotify algorithm, yo, this is a popular song that real people like, and then Spotify starts to legitimately surface the record to more listeners. You know what I'm saying? if Spotify is tricked into thinking that humans are actually doing this when it's bots. Then, of course, those streams go towards the album equivalent numbers that we talked about and affect chart positioning on Billboard and RIAA, gold, platinum, and diamond certifications. And, I just want to be clear because, before digital streaming, there were other ways that the music industry would manipulate success. Radio, payola, you know what I'm saying? There were barcode and sales schemes at the point of purchase at mom and pop shops, where labels bought their own albums to affect chart positioning. But with all the money that the music industry has to offer, there'll always be a section of the business who looks to game the system. There's always a part of the business that's corruptible. Like, so, when I'm talking about this, I don't want to make it seem like, yes, I think the streaming thing is a super problem and it has to be fixed, but corruption has always existed in the music industry. That doesn't excuse it, but when there's this much money at stake, people are going to find ways to game the system. But as it relates to streams, Spotify has been attempting to combat this by, like, if they catch an artist with fake streams, they're stripping those streams on the display. So, if you had, just 10 million streams and Spotify found out 3 million were fake, they're going to put 7 million next to your thing. They're going to strip you of those 3 million streams. And they do it quietly as not to embarrass the artist. And sometimes the artist doesn't even know. Even in the case of Gunna and Thug says he did it without Gunna knowing. Sometimes the artist doesn't even know that this is going on. And there's been talk about this for years. French Montana has been accused of paying for fake streams. G-Eazy has been accused. And bots and boosting streams is just a big part of this Drake versus UMG defamation case, right? That's centered around Kendrick's Not Like Us. I'm still very interested in how that case ends because I think that can determine a lot in terms of just how the music industry moves forward. But in 2024, Forbes published an article with the headline, "Yes, the bots are taking over." And in that article, they stated that bots are responsible for about half of the internet traffic globally. So what does it all mean for music? Just going back to Thug and Gunna, I think this is something for a lot of you, for most of you, for the vast majority of you watching this. This is not anything new. We've been talking about bots for a while now, but I think hearing Thug say it, I think being able to go back to a place and know that it affected Gunna, to know that, because when Gunna got the number one album over Weeknd, a lot of people were like, yo, how did he do that? How did you beat the Weeknd? So those is something that we're talking about, again, to see two stars that we know involved in this, you know what I'm saying? To see Thug attached to this and actually hear it out of Thug's mouth is jarring. And I think we'll see more and more bot accusations. I think this will make fans more distrusting of what they see, of successes, of this idea of what is an organic success. I think a lot of that goes out the window. And then, but it's funny, there'll be more and more bot accusations, and then it'll fuel fan armies who are also made up of bots to argue back and forth about which artists use bots. Like, we're getting to a point now too where it's robots arguing about robot activity, which is crazy. And you sit back and you left to wonder, like, how much of this is pure. The meme, right? What happened to the game I love? Like, you sit back and wonder, and I think people then naturally become skeptical about everything. I don't think that's good for the art. I don't think that's good for the game. I often don't think also it all just boils down to if you like a song or not. Who cares how much it's streamed? Who cares? To me, that's the human element of it. Like, who cares what the number is? If you like it, you like it. That's why the numbers argument is fucking ridiculous at this point, because who knows where these numbers actually come from? Do you like the record? That whole thing about, and then, you have some fan armies and a lot of them bots who follow up to the minute. Oh, it's number one on this chart. It's number like the Spotify, the Apple charts and shit like that. But those things change almost in real time. So you could have just got boosted from a bot that hit you, that lets you be number one for 2 hours on the Apple chart, and then it dipped down. Like who knows? Like what I'm saying is, you don't know. But arguing about streams and numbers to me with this information becomes even more relevant, because you can't even authenticate that. So it really just boils down to, man, do I like this song or not? But I think it's gonna get worse. I think we're gonna see more of this. I think this is gonna become more of a heated debate. And I think we're cooked. I think we're cooked. But the good news is that I think it's going to revert. It's going to get so out of hand that it's going to revert to just real fans sitting here talking about, hey, I like this song or I didn't like this song. And that be enough for the justification of, and not a number for the justification if a song is good. But those are just my thoughts. Hit me in the comments. Let me know what you think. Until the next one, all right? Peace.